good afternoon, everyone. I am Emma Toops, and I am the Executive Chair for American Warriors and the facilitator for the Purple Connection. This event is hosted and sponsored by Toops Consulting, LLC. David and I are connectors, coaches, and consultants in Toops Consulting, where our work is focused on supporting students and adults in academic or career transition. We thank you all for being here. Welcome, especially for those who have attending this as your first time. And thank the person who invited you because they felt that you would fit in well with our community. And to our regulars, it's good to see you again. Here is the agenda for our program today. First, I'm going to be doing an introduction to American Warriors and the Purple Connection, and then I'll introduce the educational networking program. After the panel, we'll have a Q&A with them and the community, and then I will finish up that part of the program with some transition tips. After that, I'll start wrapping up the event for how to get involved in American Warriors and the Purple Connection, and then announce what you can expect for future events and the lineup for next month's Purple Connection. Okay, so the introduction to American Warriors and the Purple Connection. American Warriors is a special interest group of the ACA Business Club, which is a private club with the philosophy that business flows out of relationships. So people do business with those that they know, like, or trust, and then members, therefore, are committed to creating solid connections by learning and practicing the fundamentals of strategic networking and relationship building. American Warriors are club members who have an affinity with or support those who have served our country in military or public service. The mission statement for American Warriors is to provide educational and networking opportunities for patriotic citizens who are leaders in business and support the transition into private and public sector business of active duty service members and first responders. The Purple Connection is one vehicle that the American Warriors fulfills its mission. So the challenges of transitioning from the military is a very well-researched problem. It's evident by the multitude of military support nonprofits and community organizations that provide services to address them. Driving Community Impact was a white paper published in April of 2015 by the Syracuse University Institute for Veterans and Military Families. They determined after several years of research and thousands of surveys that the leading gap in services was not that there was a lack of them, but there was a lack of connectedness of the services and support. Very often, transitioning military feel a loss of purpose. They may feel isolated or misunderstood, or they feel overwhelmed for the need of help, or feel disconnected or lack affinity to the people and culture of their new environment. So how do you solve it? You create a partnership of stakeholders who have a common goal for supporting American Warriors. The Purple Connection is a community of partnered stakeholders with a common focus of service, support, and care so that we can appropriately and effectively address the challenges of transition. So what's up with the name? There's actually two reasons for it. In government jargon, the color for joint is purple. Within our military, when we're doing operations overseas on a deployment, that environment is comprised of a multitude of seemingly disparate entities with various purposes, but they have a common purpose through the operation that unites and focuses their effort. The Purple Connection is an attempt to replicate this type of joint environment to support the American Warrior in transition. Another reason is that when you combine the colors of red and blue, you get the color purple. So in the Purple Connection, we're facilitating the connection of individuals who identify more closely to either the military community or the military support and business communities. And when they come together, it is a Purple Connection. Here are the vision and mission for the Purple Connection. We create awareness to enable access and then empower action through collaboration and encouragement to expedite reintegration, support growth and healing, and enable opportunities. We do this by regularly bringing together community experts and facilitating connections through educational networking. Here are the rules of engagement for our panel program and networking. Each participant will have 8 minutes to deliver their remarks. I will be using a timer. The time can be stopped short and given back for Q&A specific to that individual or used up entirely by the panelist. However, when the timer goes off, please wrap up and we'll move on to the next presenter. Once each panelist has spoken, there'll be 15 minutes for Q&A with the TPC community. If you're uncomfortable with public speaking or you want to remain anonymous with your question, put your question in either the public or private chat channel and I will ask it for you. Questions are not limited to the topic of the day, but do take advantage of the expertise we have available from our experts this month. Please be succinct in your questions and direct them to a specific panelist or to the community if it's a more general transition question. If you have a complicated question, you may ask it to see if there is a subject matter expert in the room, but if a response would take longer than 2 minutes to respond, then I would recommend that a follow-up be done after the event. After the Q&A, I will provide transition tips, which is an educational segment for a paradigm, or process shift, or possibly a recommendation to resources that apply to the topic of the day, which today is starting a business. After presentations, if you haven't already, share in the public chat channel your info and how you serve or need support from the community. The chat will be saved and all attendees will get a cleaned up copy of the chat channel transcript in a future email. You can follow up as you like with each other. I will do event announcements and start wrapping up the event. All right. So to begin, I have to apologize. Our panel program is going to be a little bit unconventional because even though I just gave the rules of engagement for how we're going to do it, we had some unexpected emergencies with 2 of our 3 panelists. So the routine format is that we have 3 participants. However, Deric and Jenny have availability concerns due to circumstances with travel for Deric. He is on a business trip in Texas, and his travel plans changed to where now he's not able to participate. And Jenny had an emergency with her health. So Catherine will be our still be our second presenter, because I will still do a little bit of an intro for Deric and Jenny and just kind of speak a little bit to what it is that they would have or could have shared in their remarks. All right, so David, if you could bring up the first slide for Deric, I will just kind of speak to his intro a little bit. Okay, so our first presenter is would be our veteran entrepreneur. Deric Keller is a Marine Corps veteran and the owner and founder of Battlefield Boardroom. He is a business consultant, and what he does in his work is he supports businesses with strategic planning and execution, whether it's enabling a startup, reining in the chaos of a growth spurt for a new business, or one that is maybe encountering operational growth in their business, or preparing an exit strategy. So Battlefield Boardroom, he uses some of the kind of the concepts of leading organizations in the military that translate to business, corporate business. And he's on a business trip and is unavailable to speak anymore as far as what we might know about his company and how he, supports kind of the topic of the day with starting a business. One thing I can say is that he has started multiple businesses since he separated from the military, and his background in business initially when he first got out was in the car industry and in sales, and he was very good at it. And eventually he ended up becoming his own business owner because of concepts that he was applying. Unfortunately, we won't know more about his story today. So that's what we've got as far as remarks that I can make instead of Deric. So what we'll do now is we'll move on to have our second presenter speak. All right, so our second presenter is representing a community organization. Catherine Reed is the director of field and campaign strategy for Right to Start, which is a nonprofit based in Greater Kansas City, which is focused on addressing the various challenges encountered by entrepreneurs in starting a business. Support that they provide includes advocacy for policy change, access to resources and expertise, and a community of support. So we will go ahead and allow Catherine her opportunity to speak. Let me get the timer up. And we're actually going to have plenty of time. So if you go a little over, it's okay.
Okay, good. And of course, I am here and present, but my dog, my Great Pyrenees, has just started barking. So apologies if you can hear her joining in the conversation. But it's great to be with you all. Thanks so much, Emma, for inviting me to talk. So I'm Catherine, as Emma mentioned. I'm actually in Raleigh, North Carolina. Our founder is in Kansas City, and one of our my other colleagues, our Director of Government Affairs, but I'm actually in Raleigh. So we're a national organization. But what Right to Start seeks to do is to expand entrepreneurial opportunity for all. We were founded by Victor Wong to elevate entrepreneurial opportunity as a public priority. By changing minds, policies, and communities, we seek to build a new civic infrastructure that unleashes entrepreneurial opportunity for everyone. And we drive civic change through grassroots organizing and mobilizing, policy advocacy and engagement, and lifting the voices of entrepreneurs through media and storytelling. And our founder founded Right to Start because he saw the power of entrepreneurship. His parents were immigrants from Taiwan who started their own business to put Victor through college. So he became an entrepreneur. He also served at the Kauffman Foundation, and he realized there that there was really no voice or advocacy organization that existed to be the voice of entrepreneurs. There's many that exist for small businesses or big businesses, but not specifically to focus on the needs of entrepreneurs. And when we say entrepreneur, it can often conjure up an image of like a kind of tech bro from California. That's not what we mean. We mean anybody who wants to start a business, whether that be starting a food truck, a consulting business, selling candles on Etsy. It's really everything and anything that we, consider an entrepreneur. And why do we care about entrepreneurs? Well, new businesses create almost all net new jobs in the United States. Entrepreneurs create stronger communities. They grow GDP. They create homegrown jobs, increase community wealth, diversify goods and services, increase lifetime incomes, and fight inequality and poverty. Yet government processes and the system overall make it really hard for businesses to start and grow, which has contributed to a startup slump in this country since the 1970s. In fact, survey data from the Kauffman Foundation shows that entrepreneurs are left out. 81% of entrepreneurs say that government favors big business over them, and 69% say government doesn't care about them at all. Nonetheless, the entrepreneurial spirit is deep in our DNA. 94% of voters, nearly unanimously across party lines, say it's important to America's future that citizens have a fair opportunity to start and grow their own businesses, which is what we're trying to help support. So one of the ways we work is through our advocate program. Our advocates are our grassroots organizers who work within the community to support entrepreneurs by understanding what barriers that exist and bringing those barriers to policymakers and working with the policymakers on solutions. And particularly finding those who wouldn't usually have a voice at the policy table. So we have 12 advocates at the moment, including one in Kansas City. And I'm going to play a video shortly, or Emma's going to play a video of our advocate who wanted to be here this evening, but recorded a video so you can learn a little bit more about our advocate program. We also have 24 grass tops or civic leaders who serve as our ambassadors. And that includes Emma, who support our work in their states and communities and help us amplify the priorities of the organization and spread the word about the importance of expanding entrepreneurial opportunity. So we have 10 policy priorities we push for at the local and state level. That's really where we focus. There is other organizations who operate at the federal level. A couple of our policies are 5% to start. That refers to designating a number of 5% of government contracts to new and young companies. Government contracts often favor incumbent, established big businesses. They know how the process works. They can weave through the bureaucracy, but they don't favor small companies and new businesses. And those are often, it can make a big change in the life of a small a new company. If it's given a government contract, it can help them get loans, and it can really help them sort of foster and grow. Another one of our ideas is a one-stop shop or office of entrepreneurship, and this refers to asking cities and states to create these for entrepreneurs, almost like a concierge service to help new entrepreneurs and those who are starting businesses navigate complex bureaucracies and all the steps they need to take to start up a business. Right now, we're also seeing, excitingly, a wave of pro-entrepreneur reform legislation. And in fact, there's been 13 state legislatures who've introduced right to start bills. There is one in Missouri and one in North Carolina, Kansas, Oklahoma, New Mexico. And what's exciting is that these bills are passing with strong bipartisan support that cuts across party lines, ideologies, and geographies. So it really shows how this issue is very bipartisan and everybody wants to help support entrepreneurs. So I'll pass now, if it's okay, to play the video from our advocate, Salvador Lopez. He is an advocate in Kansas City, and he'll talk a bit more about how he works to support entrepreneurs on the ground.
My name is Salvador Lopez, and I'm an advocate for Right to Start. Just want to start by saying thank you all so much for allowing me some time to be here today. I know I don't have much time, so I want to get right into things. I want to start with what we do as advocates and how we can support you on your entrepreneurial journey. The first thing that we do is we are connecting with our entrepreneurs, really focused on hearing their stories, their whys, their hows, and then any barriers or obstacles that you might be facing while starting or scaling your place of business. We then take these stories, these barriers and their obstacles, and we connect them to policy so that way we can really make changes at a local and national level. And so what do I mean by that? Well, we're connecting with our local city council members, our county legislatures, so that way we can really share those stories and those barriers that you might be facing, again, so that way we can make those changes to policy to really benefit entrepreneurs. That third thing that we're doing is building support from the community. So building allies in our community that want to come out and support these places of business, support our entrepreneurs. And I want to actually show you guys how we do that. So I'm going to jump in to one of my favorite places, MJ Fitness, and our business owner, Shelly Ortiz. This is our entrepreneur right here in the center of the photo wearing that black tank top. You can't really see it, but it says MJ Fitness right across from it. But Shelly has been in business for some years now. And, when she first started, her biggest obstacle was being able to get capital to, get the place of business going. She was told no several times before she got her one yes. Her story is so inspirational. She felt as though she was not being taken serious because she was a woman in a male-dominated industry. And had she given up, she would not be able to, have this amazing dream come true, which is her business. What we were able to do for Shelly is now she's starting to scale her business. She really needed someone in marketing. And so, through my connections, with these entrepreneurs, I was able to connect her with a marketing firm that's here local. She was able to grow her book of business by 20%. And then on top of that, we were able to hold what we call a start party for her, just to celebrate her business and all of her hard work. So I brought in around 25 local community members that had never been to her gym before. We generated around $2,500 in revenue for her place of business. And then we got her reoccurring clients. So in that 1 hour, we generated the $2,500. But those clients that signed up that day, after their sessions expired, they came back. They loved what she did. They loved what she was about. They loved the services that she provided. And, they were reoccurring clients. So it just goes to show that these connections that we're building with these entrepreneurs, not only are we advocating for them on, a policy level, but we're really building allies in our community for them as well. And I hope that we're able to do that for you sometime soon. So I know I don't have much time, and that was very short, but I want to go ahead and have you all connect with me. This is my Right to Start email, and I hope that we get to connect and that I get to do something for you guys in the near future. Thanks for your time, and I hope that we get to see you soon.
Thanks, Emma. I just put my information in the chat.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. There was great information to understand a little bit better about what Right to Start is all about. Thank you. All right. So our next presenter, I'll do the intro. Our third presenter is a military-friendly company, and Jenny Hille is the owner and content strategist for BizBoost Consulting. And unfortunately, she is also unavailable to present due to some medical emergency that has her in the hospital. So in her stead, I'm going to speak a little bit of what I know of her services and her business's support to the military, because she has, I have a personal connection with her as far as she is a friend of mine, but we also have had her do work for us as far as our website, Toops Consulting, and the logos that we have for the Purple Connection, as well as the American Warriors logos. So what Jenny does in her business, she's a content strategist for digital marketing. And so the various ways of communicating to let people know about your business, your brand, your products or services, and the various environments where you may show up and have connections. That's what she is all about in her support of a entrepreneur. Whether you are just getting started and you don't have a logo yet, you don't have business cards or even really a brand, she and her team can support those type of things as far as creative ideas for graphics. But then there's also folks who are part of her team who work on actual presence, digital presence online with a website, with social media, and things that include things as complicated as SEO and use of search engine optimization and tools like Google Business. So the kind of the results of some of her work you can see in what we are using in Toops Consulting. Our website was something that we got redesigned and redone in the last quarter last year. We launched it officially after it got redone in January of this year. So that is an example of some of the work that she and her team does. The American Warriors logo was redesigned by members of her team, and the Purple Connection logo also was redone by the same graphic artist, Stacy Neal, who is on her team. So I'm not going to go any more into that because I don't know all the stories and things about Jenny's business. I just know enough about it to talk in her stead, because she's a friend of mine and she has worked with us and we've been very pleased with her work. So what we will do now is move on to our Q&A period. So the Q&A period is an opportunity to ask questions of our community as well as our panelists as far as what it is that they are expert on. And so there's just kind of general questions about starting a business, being in business, or just different challenges inherent as far as, that whole thing with operations or communications or whatever the case may be. Now is the time for us to kind of see what we got to share as far as expertise, experience, and resources. Does anybody have a question? Let me see if there's anything in the chat. Okay, so there was a question about whether or not these organizations help military spouses. So for Catherine, for your organization, could you answer that question?
Yeah, we really focus on all underrepresented entrepreneurs specifically. So I would imagine that military spouses would fall into that category. But obviously, we're not an entrepreneurial support organization that specifically helps businesses, learn the ropes or anything. We're more trying to foster systemic change in the system for all entrepreneurs. But you heard from Sal that our advocates will work with local entrepreneurs in any way to support them. So depending where Rachel is located, that may be a possibility.
Right. Okay. So as far as Deric's business and with Jenny's business, they do help, basically because they offer services in a private capacity as business owners in the private sector. So if the person who needs the support is a military spouse, then certainly they can meet them with the needs that they have for business strategy planning. Maybe with the whole brand and marketing that Jenny's business would do with any business or organization. But because of the network that we're in, the Purple Connection, what Catherine was talking about, I am a military ambassador for Right to Start. And part of the reason why I am is because they found out that I do the Purple Connection, and then I basically every month am talking about a veteran or military spouse entrepreneur as part of the program. And I am one. So I felt really align with what they're doing because, for whatever barriers in policy, I've been able to kind of navigate this space because I know so many other entrepreneurs. But the challenges of starting a business, sometimes it's live and learn. You don't inherently assume that it's going to be as hard as it is until you start encountering barriers. And each of our panelists has a very strategic approach as far as how to kind of address the challenges of starting a business. And that's kind of where you have to start, is you got to have a big picture of it, and then come down a little bit from the strategy, the vision that you have, in order to kind of start then dealing with the tactics and operational barriers. Because that's usually where people live, it is in that space. Raymond, did you have a question or you wanted to contribute to the Q&A?
Yes, I just had a question.
Okay.
I'm a Marine veteran. I was just wondering what the steps were for me getting my idea that I have for a small business into reality.
Okay, so do you already have a business plan?
Yes, I have a rough draft of one. I don't know if it's like a good one, but yes, I have a business plan. I have a business actually already registered with the state. I got a name, so
Oh, okay.
yes.
So you've already started it.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I was
Okay.
just
Well,
wondering,
that's
yeah,
good.
how to get this actually started.
Okay. So one of the things that I will tell you about the business that David and I started, Toops Consulting, was that we started it not having a background in business. I was in the military. I was in the Army for almost 18 years. But what we recognized was what our value was as far as what skills we had to offer. And if what you're offering in your business is addressing a need, a problem or some or product, right, that people want, then that's all is kind of what is the basic necessity for starting a business. All the other details come later, where you have to kind of, address your environment. Are you going to actually be successful with that idea? And so, Raymond, have you shared your plan with anybody?
Yeah, I've shared it with a few people so far. I sent it out to a facilitator at KU and got a few notes from him, and I'm just looking at how to make, I guess, a pitch to a bank or someone who would have funding to like get this started, I guess is the best way to put it.
Okay. So one of the things that I learned is that you can have a great idea, but if other people don't understand it or recognize it for the idea that is brilliant in your own mind, then trying to get it to actually become reality is very hard. That's the reason why I asked if you've shown it to anybody. Other people who have been there or done that or have experience in similar aspects of what your business is can then help you refine that business plan. And the resources available for that, there's a lot of them. And it's a matter of connecting with them. If you've shown it to some folks and gotten some feedback, you've probably been able to then apply that feedback to help refine some of the details. Market research is one of the things that a lot of folks don't probably do enough as far as the viability of their business. And so you got to talk to people who are already operating in that space because one, they're going to be competition. If what they offer is similar in what it is that you offer, how are you going to be different? What's your competitive advantage? Why would you contribute to the market in what it is that you are wanting to sell in service or product? So really kind of understanding that is part of you being able to refine your plan. Have you done some of that?
Not yet, but I will be. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm here for.
Networking is a
starting. Yeah, I was about to say.
yeah,
That's what I'm here for,
networking is a huge part of it, and you need to have a kind of a network of support. That's what we're all about. So, Catherine, would you like to contribute to some of what I'm sharing?
Yeah, I was just thinking from what I've learned at Right to Start that a good place to start is the local small business development center. Like those places exist to help people like yourself, Raymond, to get like the answers to some of those questions, get feedback. They have lots of opportunities for grants and different funding. They can also connect you to other entrepreneurial support organizations, be a sounding board, help you filling out forms. Like, I feel like there's a lot of support out there. People often just don't know that it exists, but that's a good place at least to start because they could then give you the names of, 5 or 6 other organizations that you could then get support from. And most cities have a small business development center.
Right. JCCC, the Johnson County Community College, they've got a support resource that's specific to entrepreneurs. You can go to their campus, and if you're up at Fort Leavenworth, there's I think there's Leavenworth campuses for the University of Kansas and other local, community colleges and universities where you can go in and just kind of find out from some of their advisors and counselors as far as your questions for business ownership. They may actually even have some workshops or seminars available for you to attend. Have you ever heard of Boots to Business?
No.
Okay, so Boots to Business is a workshop or seminar. I think it's offered through the Small Business Administration, so the SBA. There are mentors that you can talk to who are business professionals and business owners through SCORE. It's an acronym. I can't tell you exactly what it means, but there are SCORE mentors who will help you with some of your questions as far as being a business owner or having a plan. And they kind of meet you where you are, right? And start kind of giving you things that you need to do or check out as far as some of the policies, some of the regulations and things of that nature that are going to be part of the environment that you have to navigate in order to get to the results that you want to get to. The space and equipment piece, that is very operational, but you need to kind of get the strategy piece worked out before diving into the details and the weeds, because if the strategy is not quite right or it's not fleshed out enough, you're going to end up with some serious errors in your process because you're trying to execute at a level to where you're not ready to, because there's things that are bigger, higher level that need to already be in place. Jim, do you have something you'd like to contribute?
Not a whole lot. I do just want to emphasize what's already been shared is excellent. SCORE is one that's often overlooked. That's one of the things I've observed. And then another great idea is to connect with people that have done starting a business from different sectors of the business world and the economy, just to kind of learn about what their path looked like. That can often give you some insights, and it can often help you to think about certain things up until that point you hadn't really thought about. So those are my 2 cents.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I have someone I might connect you with as far as your intentions for a gaming cafe. He's a young man who is started a consulting business, but what he does has to do with gamification and gaming and some of the kind of the concepts thereof within business as far as teamwork and effective working well with others, which we are familiar with, being in the military. But the gaming piece of business, you and I can get together offline and talk about some resources and some referrals for some folks who might be able to support you in refining your plan or just kind of giving you some ideas for what it is that you already got together.
Okay, thank you so much. It sounds really good.
Okay, here's another question I have for you. Have you heard of Bunker Labs?
Bunker Labs, no.
Okay, so Bunker Labs is another nonprofit that is all about support to entrepreneurs, specifically military and military spouse entrepreneurs. Kansas City has a chapter for Bunker Labs. I actually know 2 of their leaders. They're officers on the executive committee of the Kansas City AUSA, where David and I also are chapter leaders. But what they have is support to help refine your business plan. They help folks who just have an idea and they haven't even done planning yet, right? Or whatever stage of business a person might be at, they kind of meet you where you are and help connect you to resources and expertise, or just have, a community of support who can relate to your kind of business journey and the fact that you're a military service person, right? Because the leaders are usually prior service as well, and they can relate to kind of where you're coming from as far as your skills and talent from having served. All right, good to see you, Sharon.
Sorry, I got delayed.
No problem, no problem. Okay, so we actually are winding down on our Q&A period. Does anybody else have something they'd like to share about the topic of the day?
I know I personally, I'm not an expert or anything, but was hired on with a company that tried to advertise to the airports, and were big investors. These guys were like, for Alaska especially, they were like McKinley Investment Company, which is like the richest guy in Alaska. For up here, it's pretty big. And he was trying to go to these folks at the airport and sell a big business plan to them. And the only difference I could see is the scope of the money. This business is business, whether you're talking about whatever business. It doesn't matter how much money you're trying to make money. And he actually hired me, a mechanic, and I thought that was kind of funny. I'm like, what does a banker guy want with me? I thought it was a scam at first because I was like, no way. But what he needed me to do was go down and talk to the managers and the guys at the airport, and he needed somebody that spoke their language. And he was Wall Street Journal suit tie guy, and he went down there and they viewed him very suspiciously, like, who is this guy? And they didn't want nothing to do with him. But they took me. I knew him, and I worked with him, and I went down there and I could speak the same language at him. My wife said I smell like jet fuel, just like they do. So I could relate to him, and we took a complex. This guy, real press clean and got me over there, and I communicated with them, and that's what kind of pushed it over the edge, and we actually got the business.
Oh,
And
very good. Very good. Okay, so there are a couple more comments in the chat channel I'm going to share. If you, for those who aren't monitoring, that's fine. SCORE apparently is not an acronym anymore. So that's from Ellie Pike. She works with VetBiz, which you need to connect with Ellie because they're all about small business support to veterans. She also shares that local libraries are a overlooked resource. So you can ask a librarian. And there's, Johnson County and probably where you are, if you're up in Leavenworth, libraries that are public that you can just pop in there and ask some questions as far as, some feedback on your plan or resources that are supporting of entrepreneurs. And then Catherine shared the 1 million cups. Okay, so this is actually something that I know they happen every Wednesday morning here in Kansas City. And I don't know where, what kind of routine events they may have in other places, but here in Kansas City, 1 million cups happens every Wednesday morning. It is, I think, at the Kauffman Foundation. And what that is one, it's an environment of a whole bunch of people who are all about business. And every program that they have every week is a business spotlight of, I think, 2, maybe 3 businesses who are just kind of doing a business pitch and trying to get some feedback from the audience as far as what it is that they either are about to do or in process of, or if they're in a growth stage where they're trying to kind of come out of a plateau and, push forward to another level of growth. So that might be an event that would be worth checking out. Okay. All right, so let's move on to the next segment of the program. Thank you to everybody who contributed to the Q&A with a question or with a response. So what we're doing next here is the transition tips. Okay, Toops Consulting is focused on supporting students and adults in life, school, career, or business transitions. However, in this segment of the program, I'm not going to talk about our business, but provide some transition tips pertaining to the topic of the day, which is starting a business. I'm going to be providing some insights and perspective regarding some paradigm shifts pertaining to that topic. All right, so in the context of what our panelists would have contributed in their remarks, we learn about various strategic areas of concern pertaining to starting a business related to business plans, kind of some of the legal requirements or policy and regulations, and then marketing by use of digital resources. Okay, but these are merely some of the first priority and essential considerations when you're planning a business, because these have to do with strategy, right? The paradigm shift I like you to make from today's tips is to expand your understanding for how military-based experience and strategies for organizational management, administration, and communication translates, or maybe not so much, to business ownership. That the business of the military is not the same as corporate America or nonprofit or academia or other segments of the market. There are environmental conditions that must be acknowledged for whatever business you are in or looking to start. Disregard or unawareness of these conditions will likely negatively affect your success in whatever endeavor you attempt. So what do I mean by this? Okay. Some of the norms for organizational operations, risk management, and resource management. In the military, the definitions for these things are very similar across the depth and breadth of the military environment, regardless of your branch. So whether you're in the Army, the Air Force, the Marines, or the Navy, everybody's in the business of the military to some context, right? So variations for purpose are easily categorized into actions or functions such as maneuver support, operational services support, intelligence and communications and things of this nature. Comprehensive risk management is a process that is pretty standard, and all leaders understand it and apply it in their planning and execution within the military. Resource management for people and equipment and facilities. These are all kind of dictated by policy or doctrine. There's so many regulations, whether at the local organizational level or institutionally across the entire system. Now, strategic planning for how to do or change the business when you're in the military, it's restricted only to the highest levels of leadership and authority. And the resource of money is through congressionally proposed and approved budgets, which then are then allocated to organizations based on their past as well as projected operational needs, to include training and development. Now, if you take a look and apply kind of the same idea in the non-military environment for strategic planning, the definitions for all these various things for operations, risk management, resource management, they're going to be different based on the purpose, market, and resources of the business. Okay. When starting a new business with no pre-existing model or template, the strategic vision and planning for all these various environmental concerns of how to do the business, those are then upon the leader or the person who's going to start it up, right? There has to be internal as well as external assessments for the purpose, for the risk, for the resources. And any business function that is specifically not already dictated by industry, laws, regulations, or policy, or just kind of best practices and standards, then they're open for definition by the organization by establishing their own culture and their administrative processes, whatever their operational systems are for their people, their communications and their marketing and all of that. It is all then up to the leaders of that business. Okay. Whether in the business of the military or in just non-military, the concepts that are common for strategy and actions, you have to kind of assess and define them as applicable. It often in business depends, okay? A lot of the time there's some overconfidence in military experienced people that starting or running a business is akin to being a unit commander or running an organization while in the military because you're a leader of people and things and support services. It is not the same per se, but some of your experience and skills do translate. It's just recognizing how, okay? What do I mean? What problem is being addressed by the service or product of the unit or the business? Okay, in the military, we call it the mission. In business, it's the purpose of the business, right? In organizational leadership structure for the organization. In the military, this is well defined through doctrine and regulation. There's rank and structure that is very familiar. In a business, this is defined by the organization's leaders, the purpose of the business, and the market you occupy. What are the risk exposures to the success of the business? In the military, this is usually defined by geography and the capabilities of the enemy and those who are also in that same space. Those things are usually understood through higher level intelligence and strategic plans, not necessarily put together by you. In business, again, this depends on the organization's leaders, the purpose of the business, and the market. What's the caliber, quantity, and processes for the resources available to conduct the business? In the military, all of that, a lot of it is already defined. The eligibility standards for the people, those are set, not necessarily by you, right? Money is through congressionally approved budgets. All of the equipment, facilities, and time, those are all provided and managed through a system that everybody kind of works within. In a business, all of that, again, depends on the organization's leaders, purpose, and market. There's plenty of other examples, but just recognize that a lot of what you are able to execute and have done in the past as a military leader, as an organizational leader, as maybe a planner and executor of missions and of that sort, those are all relevant, but in a different context when you are starting a business. There's a lot more strategy that you may not be used to doing, because in the military, a lot of that's already done for you. So networking, it's hard. Good communication is always necessary. You don't need to have a business background to start a business. David and I certainly didn't, but we lived and learned, and we learned a lot from people that we knew. But military experience for leading or operating organizations, a lot of it is applicable. You just have to realize how. Recognize that when you're envisioning entrepreneurship or even pursuing career opportunities for being an employee, because you have to kind of adjust your thinking in order to operate well in that new space. The structure, the systems, the language, the rules, all of those things. In the non-military environment, a lot of the time, the correct answer is it depends. You're not going to necessarily know enough when you get started. Almost certainly you won't. And you live and learn, but you also learn from others. So the Purple Connection, it's a community of organizations and business professionals who want to and can help expedite your knowledge and access to resources and to opportunities. So be cognizant of what gaps you have in your understanding, in your behaviors, and then seek out the appropriate resources that can help you. All right, that's what we've got for transition tips today. All right. If you're interested in continuing to participate more intentionally in facilitated conversations on various transition topics, I invite you to become an American Warrior of the ACA Business Club. Becoming an American Warrior is becoming a member of the club, and being a member of the club affords many benefits. You have access to any of the ACA Business Club facilities wherever they happen to be. Here in Greater Kansas City, we have 5 club facilities, though we also have clubs in other metros across the country, and we even have some now overseas. When you're a member of the club, you have access to any of the interest groups available. American Warriors is only one of over 20 interest groups. You can join a business development team if you are in that functional role for your business, or if you're an entrepreneur. You have access to all the events, club organized or sponsored, as well as a directory for all the members where they are in your geographic location or elsewhere within the network. There's live and virtual networking and learning opportunities every week, as well as opportunities to be a leader for teams, groups, or clubs based on your willingness to step up into a leadership position. The Purple Connection and the Strengths Profile workshops are sponsored, organized, and facilitated by Toops Consulting. These are things that David and I offer in our work, but we also do encourage American Warriors to participate in those, inviting their guests as often as possible. The American Warriors Discussion Roundtable is the routine meeting that the interest group does. It is something that is a monthly discussion roundtable. It is virtual or in person based on the person who wants to attend. The American Warriors Social and Guest Speaker Program is semi-annual, and it is an in-person event in the Greater Kansas City area. And then there's also opportunities to be part of the executive committee or club committee for American Warriors. For future events, next week on the 27th, our monthly American Warriors Discussion Roundtable is going to be on organizational structure. There's going to be some subtopics of person, team, department, or staff. And the point of a discussion roundtable is just for everyone who attends to participate in the conversation as far as what does that actually mean. And depending on your environment and where you're coming from, the definitions actually are not always the same. So we're learning from each other as far as perspective and understanding better how we might encounter others who might not be just like us. The Intro to Strengths Profile workshop is now on demand. You can contact me if you or a group you are with are interested in learning about it. And and or taking the strengths profile assessment. And then the Purple Connection, which is this event, is next month, May 18th. The topic of the day is going to be mind, body, and soul. So our lineup for next month's program, our veteran entrepreneur is going to be Stephanie Redfeather. She's the founder and director of the Blue Star Temple. The community organization representative is going to be Logan McKinney. He's the president of Second Chance Outdoors. And our military-friendly company representative is going to be Danny Davis, who is an owner and also personal trainer for Atlas Custom Fitness Solutions. I, as always, will provide the transition tips. We are online as far as our website. If you aren't familiar with our work, go ahead and visit our website at toopsconsulting.com. You'll see that we have 4 assistance pillars that we provide in our services. The veteran transition assistance is kind of the community pillar for where we support community in the Purple Connection, but we also do offer individualized support as well. The Purple Connection is also online. You can go to thepurpleconnection.com or go to the community section of our website, and you'll learn a little bit more about what this is all about. If you are relatively new to the Purple Connection, you can also refer people to find the event announcement for the upcoming event, as well as a registration link. Or if you are a business or someone you want to refer to be on a future program, you can direct them here to also self-nominate or refer for future programs. You can get on our distribution list to get our emails that announce our different events and activities, and contact us through that site. If you want to contact us directly, you can send me an email, or you can link with me on LinkedIn and communicate with us through that vehicle. Or if you want to do a one-on-one, feel free to set up an appointment at our appointment link. All right, that's all we have for today. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And sorry, it was a little bit unconventional as far as our panel program, but things happen unexpectedly. And have a good evening. Follow up with each other, and we'll look forward to seeing you at the next event. Take care.